content!
Hindus, Muslim suicide bombers.
Created entity.
It's the tank. The tank approaches.
The created entity. Okay? Now, logic would dictate, if we were to take this reason forward, logic would dictate that unless and until you establish exactly what the Creator's message is to the human being, all the questions that we are asking somehow become just for the purpose of a game, as you rightly said. Yeah?
Exactly.
So, I wouldn't view that way.
That's very well said. That's exactly one of the reasons why I don't follow religion.
The way I would view it is that, look, unless and until you have understood exactly what the Creator says, and this you can't take from another human being. It has to be for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah? It has to be for yourself. Now, unless and until you have established that, any question in relation to what the Creator thinks, says, with a view to humanity, is going to be pure speculation.
And even by yourself, if you interact with God in a certain way by yourself, your interaction still goes through your senses, and thus it's still not a perfect interaction. It's still.
Sorry, say that again.
Even if you interact with God yourself,
Yeah.
your interaction still goes through your own senses, which are flawed, which means you will not realize God for what exactly He is, for what He truly is. Plus, let me just address something else. You're completely right. I can't, if I believe in a God, I can't assert for sure what God wants, what He believes in. But do you agree that people go to hell if they disobey God's justice?
Right, excellent. You have said this the third time. You have used disobeyed God's justice. What is the definition of justice according to the Creator?
What's written in the Quran?
What would that be?
The laws by which you abide, by laws by which you live.
Laws have nothing to do with justice.
Of course they do. Justice is composed by laws.
No, if I can just. You see, if somebody has gone through red lights, the law finds him guilty. Do we agree? You seem unsure.
That's justice, yeah.
No. Now,
that's the system of justice we have.
Now, that is the legal system.
So?
Justice is applied by the judge. If I go through red lights, I've broken the law. If I go into the magistrate's court and I provide sufficient reason which... I do apologize, Pavlov. If I go to the magistrates and the magistrates apply justice and I give them sufficient cogent reasons for why I went through, they would let me off. Is that justice?
As far as I know, the term justice system and the term legal system are synonyms. So we're playing games of semantics with words that mean exactly the same.
Pavlov, you sound... I do apologize.
No, it's fine, no problem.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
Listen, I've seen you, we haven't met. Have you read this book?
Secret History of the World, Jonathan Black. Ooh, Illuminati I like. No, I haven't.
Get this book, it will transform your life.
Yeah.
Who told you I want my life to be transformed?
Well, we are all endeavoring to better our life, aren't we?
Of course.
Go forward in life. Of course. This will make a gift to you. Remember, I talked about Jesus, why the church's sodomy is prevalent. This book explains why. If it's good for the Lord, it's good for me, the pastor.
I see.
Can I ask you?
Yeah,
This guy did a 20-year research.
Yeah, we can.
Before any touch the faith. And in 387 he says, indeed the whole world, let alone Europe, changed thanks to Islam only. If not for Islam, there would be no Renaissance in Europe.
No what?
Renaissance in Europe.
Yeah, sorry, if I can just...
You know, there are many theories about why the Renaissance happened. The main theory,
20 year research.
the main theory is that after the conquest of Constantinople by the Ottomans, many of the scholars of Constantinople, which was the greatest city on earth on that moment, fled to Italy. And those scholars, those artists, those people, they kick-started the Renaissance because there was a huge influx of brain power to northern Italy, and thus it was, you know, it began
Only
moving
2
forward.
years
the Renaissance.
ago, Thomas Friedman, New York Times editor, he said, if Muslims were in Europe in the 30s and 40s, there would be 6 million Jews living in Europe today.
Yeah, I can.
It's a very big stretch. It's a very big stretch. You might change a little part of history, and it changes everything drastically. You can't possibly predict that.
Have you got any reason to be proud about the Nordic civilization?
Of course.
The Roman civilization?
Of course. I have every reason to be proud of the Romans.
Blood, smelling blood.
Everyone smells of blood.
Not
Everyone.
the Muslims.
Especially the Muslims.
Really?
They conquered 2/3 of the Christian world in a record time. They were conquering like crazy, really fast.
Prophecy.
Prophecy. Oh, I like that. Every single empire likes to give an excuse for their
Prophecy.
conquests.
Prophecy.
You know the reason why I
You know
don't.
the Muslims,
Okay.
you know the Greeks, the Romans, the Persians used to pass through them thinking these Arabs were a bunch of dirt, vermin. No one gave them the second look until Islam changed them.
Yeah, because
And
they conquered them.
No one gave a second look at the Muslims. The Muslims conquered all the way from Persia to southern France.
Okay.
Why? The prophecy.
Okay. So the Mongols also had a prophecy of their own because they conquered the biggest land empire in existence.
Thank you. Okay.
Anyway, it was quite derailed the conversation, but
It's okay. I know where we were when we stopped.
I kind of, I kind of lost track where
No,
we
don't
stopped.
worry, I will tell you.
Go
The
ahead,
last
go
thing you said was justice and the legal system are used synonymously.
Yes.
Yeah. I said no, it doesn't work like
So
that.
what's the difference?
Yeah. Like I was just telling you. I just gave you an example and I want you to follow that through. The example was that I went through red lights. It's illegal. I was then taken to court. The judge now applies justice. I give him very cogent reasons for why I had to go through the red light. And he applied the law.
The legal system.
No.
Yes, the legal system.
If I can just.
It's the law.
He applied the law. The law says that if you go through, X is the punishment. He looked at the reasons, we call them mitigating reasons. He found that I had sufficient cause to have gone through, yeah. Although I broke the law, the judge announced an absolute discharge. Is that justice?
Justice is very open to interpretation.
Why?
Because every country has their own legal system, has their own, their own way of living. You know what I mean?
That's not the issue, though. The issue that you are addressing and I'm addressing is this.
I assume you want to make the distinction.
Did
like,
he apply? No, Pavlov. Did he apply justice?
No, wait. I assume you want to make a distinction, like the
No, I'm
judicial,
not assuming,
the,
I'm asking you, Pavlov,
the judicial,
respectfully. Let's
the
answer the
judicial,
question and then
the
proceed.
executive, and the
No, you seem to
another
be reading
system.
of a
in way.
script here. Pavlov.
Yeah,
I'm
bro,
not asking
listen,
you that.
listen.
No, just answer my
You
question,
seem to be
Pavlov.
reading from a script.
Respectfully, I'm asking you, Pavlov, a simple question. Did
What's the question?
judge apply justice?
In which situation? Would you
The
repeat
one
the
that I
situation?
just gave you.
Repeat the situation.
Can't you remember I did it twice?
Repeat the
Pavlov?
situation.
Twice I repeated.
Repeat the situation.
You can't remember.
You don't want to repeat the situation.
No, I can, but it seems like you're not listening.
Do you want to repeat the situation or not? Or do you want to focus on whether I have been listening or not?
No, you haven't been. Because if you did,
Because we are trying games of semantics, and
no,
I do
you
not
are
want to
playing them
engage in
respectfully,
this.
Pavlov. I gave you an actual
Okay, you might say it
example.
respectfully as many times as you want. If you don't act respectfully, it doesn't sound like your words have any meaning.
I agree, but that's what I'm asking you to do.
Asking me to do what?
I've asked you 3 times the same question.
Now it's 3. It was
gave
2
you the
just a
same,
while ago.
The same example twice.
Now it's twice
You
again.
can't remember the example I
Twice.
gave.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So
What
are
was
you
the
going to
original
answer the
conversation?
question?
What was the original conversation again? Ah, yes, we were talking. You were trying to answer the question of what does God love more, His justice or humans? And you've derailed it to what is justice. Now that's a good topic. What is justice?
I actually said to you, your reasoning is flawed, and then we moved on. But having said that, Pavlov, respectfully, and I say this, and I mean it, I gave you a real life example. You didn't seem aware of it.
You told me my reasoning is flawed because I don't know exactly. Because I don't know exactly. Because I don't know exactly what God wants us to do.
Right, excellent.
Now you're in the same boat. You don't know what God wants us to do, and thus you can't criticize me on not knowing it.
No, you're entitled to that opinion. But
I'm entitled to it, and you're entitled to answer it.
In terms of criticism,
if you want, or you can avoid it if you want.
In terms of criticism, there isn't a need because the flow, the thread, you missed it. I will repeat it.
Of course
again.
I did. Of course I did.
again.
Go ahead. Of course I missed it.
I gave you an example about justice. Okay.
We go back to another thread.
Not at all. It's the same thread. Unfortunately, it went against your reasoning, and I can see that. But I will repeat it anyway for your benefit. I haven't touched my camera in so long. Going through red lights, it's against the law. I am brought before the magistrates. I provide the necessary reasons for why I went through.
Which are?
The judge now is going to apply justice.
Okay.
He heard my reasons for why I went through in mitigation, it's called.
Okay.
After having heard it, he acknowledges I went through the red light, but his judgment was an absolute discharge.
Absolute discharge. So
you know
I
what
was
that
not
means?
guilty.
But did he apply justice?
He did.
How?
Because according to the judicial system, according to justice, to the system, to the laws of the country, I, who went against the lies, was judged not guilty. Whether because the lights messed up, whether because I was distracted by another, for any reason. It is justice.
Was justice applied?
It was.
How?
Because he decided I'm not guilty.
He broke
Justice
the law.
is not only punishment.
Excellent.
It can be mercy.
Now, take that reasoning forward. Who created? We are assuming there's a creator here.
Sure.
The creator created human beings who have developed justice systems in which it is clear that even in applying justice they are being merciful. Who gave us that ability?
Well, if we believe in God, then yeah, God
The
gave us that
creator
ability.
did. The supreme creator who has given us this ability to be able to apply mercy despite the rules going against us. How would that absolute entity apply justice?
By punishing us, of course.
Can that same
If we transgress his rules.
Can that absolute justice also apply mercy?
Well, yeah, if we
Sorry?
submit ourselves to his rules.
Sorry?
If we submit to his
Again,
rules.
have you noticed, Pavlov? You are answering the question with a precondition. When there isn't a need for a precondition, why are you doing that?
What do you mean? I'm
You
answering
aren't
the
seeing
question
it, are
that you
You are
said.
not seeing it. Okay, I will tell you.
Yeah, I'm not seeing where you're going with this,
Not
honestly.
where I'm going, it's where you thought you were going, but you can't. Anyway, what I'm saying basically, Pavlov, you are always there's a precondition you are applying when you are answering the question. When I say mercy, you said, well, unless it is this, then it can be applied. I'm saying, no, there isn't a need. When you are dealing with an absolute entity, these ideas of ifs, buts do not apply. Because you are dealing with an absolute entity. Unless you understand what that absolute entity is,
we don't.
You are still going to be confused.
But we don't understand what
that's
that
what is
entity
happening
is.
here.
Do you understand
So,
what that entity is?
No. If you
Well,
heard
if you don't, then who are you to criticize me on not understanding
I'm
the
not
entity?
criticizing you. I'm
You
observing.
are.
I'm observing.
Of
what
course
I'm saying,
you are.
what I'm
Of
saying
course.
to you, no. You see,
Of course you are.
Pavlov, honestly, should I tell you something? I know you are younger than me. I will tell you,
Yes,
I will
the
tell you-
younger
No, I
card,
will
the
tell-
younger.
will
I
tell-
am older than you, and thus
I will-
I know it better than you.
Pavlov, I'll tell you
Age
something.
doesn't always is always equal to actual knowledge, wisdom.
Actually, people who are older would wait until the other person finishes before they interject. Young people do that, and you've just done it.
Of course.
Right, anyway. I'll just say it anyway. You see, Pavlov, at the end of the day, what we have to try and do, if we want to learn, we must be ready to accept our long-held notions to be demolished. That is how we will learn. Unfortunately, exactly. Unfortunately, Pavlov, when you are wanting to have a conversation and you want to arrive at an understanding, then one has to, by default, try and understand the position of the other side that is speaking. What you cannot do is impose a certain way of speaking and expect everybody to fall within that narrow view, which is what I'm not doing with you.
Isn't that exactly what you're doing?
Not at all.
By trying to play semantic games with the word justice and the word judicial system.
Will you allow me to finish? No, I just realized respectfully you didn't know the difference, so I had to make it clear to you.
Of course.
But having said that, you see, what I'm saying to you,
because there is no difference.
That's entirely your opinion. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, look, for us to learn Pavlov, we all have to accept what the other person is saying, listen to them, and if you disagree, provide the necessary reasons for why. But do it in the spirit of learning. At this moment in time, Pavlov, you are not doing that. You are just not doing it.
How can you tell?
How can I tell? I'm older than you.
Oh, so seeing that you're
So
older, you
experience-
automatically have the knowledge to know everything about me.
No, I just said experience
It's an
teaches.
interesting conclusion, you know. It means the oldest of people should be ruling mankind.
I just said experience.
Why
I
aren't
didn't
they?
say about the brain. Experience.
But why aren't they?
It's
Why
amazing.
aren't the
That's,
oldest people ruling mankind?
that's something you will learn when you get old. But at this
okay,
point in time, you are young, so you have to learn.
Fair enough. I'm sorry, but these
having-
arguments are very weak.
It isn't an argument.
It's a very weak argument.
This is
Just
the only-
because I'm old, I'm more
no.
intelligent than you. That's a very weak argument.
Without wanting to sound offensive,
You can sound as offensive
Not
as you
at all,
want,
Pavlov.
really.
I've had
You're
to-
being very condescending already.
I'm
so
not
at
at
this
all.
point, at this point,
I'm
it doesn't
only
matter.
observing what is happening here.
All right,
you
all
see,
right, go ahead.
I made distinctions, but respectfully, they didn't fit within your purview. So you shut off.
You didn't make any
There
distinction.
you are. You see, no, between
You're
the,
playing word
between-
games between justice and judicial system. Okay, judicial system has a slightly different meaning of justice, but justice dictates the judicial system.
Okay,
If you want to play word games, we can do it all day and night.
I didn't play
But
word games.
I didn't come here to play word games. I came here to know your answer. What does God love more, humans or his justice?
Pavlov,
Could you answer,
Pavlov,
simply answer that question?
Respectfully, I went.
If you feel the need to keep saying respectfully,
I
means
have to, because
that
you're
you're
already
insisting
thinking
too
I'm
much.
being offensive to you, which I'm not. But what I'm saying to you, Pavlov,
You just said you're more intelligent than me
I
and
didn't
wiser
say
than
that.
me
When did I say
because
that?
you are older.
When did I say I was more
You
intelligent
said
than you?
you know things I don't because you're older.
When did I say I was more intelligent than you?
You said you know things I
Pavlov,
don't.
when did I
All right,
say I was more
knowing
intelligent
knowing
than you? Are you going-
information,
are you
part
going
of
to retract
intelligence,
that?
part of intelligence,
Pavlov, are you
part
going
of
to retract
no,
that?
I'm not.
You are not.
Part of intelligence
Then you are wrong.
is knowledge. The knowledge of certain things in the world that we observe. You said that you have more knowledge than me automatically simply because you're older than me.
No.
That
you
is
said
a
that.
fallacy.
You
No,
said
you
that.
said that. It's
I
on
said
camera. You
experience.
cannot escape
Absolutely,
from
the
it.
camera is there.
You can't
I
escape
said
from it.
experience.
I ask you, how do you know that?
There you are. You see,
when
you keep-
when I asked you, how do you know what I'm thinking? I ask you, how do you know that? You told me
Pavlov.
because I'm older.
I'm older, and experience tells me why.
That's a weak
now,
argument.
That's fine.
You need to give reasons for your arguments. You can't just say, I know it because I know it.
I-
Oh, I've been in Oxford, I have a degree, that's how I know it. You can't do that. You need to explain
not?
step by step.
Why can't you do that?
Because it doesn't make any sense.
Why?
You might have been
If
the
you-
worst student in Oxford, and I might have been the best student in an unknown school. And I might know more about the subject than you from Oxford.
That may
Do you,
be,
do you
that-
realize the
I-
slippery slope of your argument?
No. Unfortunately, I've had to follow yours. And if it's slippery, it's yours.
You're not
But
following
having said
anything
that,
that
Pavlov,
I'm
I will
saying.
say something.
I'm
You
afraid
see,
you're lost at this
here,
point.
I'll tell you what the problem was, and I tried to bring it up for you, but you insisted on a particular way. You see, when you are talking about certain subject matter, the first thing to do is define the terms so that you know where you are going
Sure.
to be going. You automatically assume certain things about the word justice, about the word the creator, automatically you thought that there is a particular way only of looking at it. I didn't look at it that way, hence the problem that we have now.
Okay,
Now
let's agree on the meaning of justice. Let's just cut to the chase. Let's just cut to the chase. You're not.
I am. What I'm going to say, Pavlov,
be more sincere.
God willing,
Be more
because
sincere.
I come from that position,
Come on.
God willing, go
Let's
and find
define
out about justice and come back.
Let's
and we'll have a
define the word
conversation.
justice. Give me your meaning of the word justice.
I have decided to stop the conversation
What is your-
here. It was a pleasure.
You are free to flee
pleasure.
at any point that you
A
wish.
pleasure to speak
pleasure.
to you. And once you have learned a bit more, come back to me.
Very good game of tag here. Very interesting.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Goodbye.
Don't take over everything from your Come, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
The way, do not forget those who are saying, oh, you know, those the Leave campaigners. Often they turn around and say, you know, we're being bullied by the European Union, or we're being oppressed by the Europe. And others will turn around and say, the Remain camp, like the protesters yesterday, turn around and say, oh, the European Union that stands for our rights. And Corbyn sometimes repeats, well, the rights in the European Union are going to be undermined. Well, look at Catalonia. Yeah? Don't think that the European Union stands for democracy and peace. Nor, by the way, does the British